This is Locked On Bets, the daily betting show that means business from the Locked On Podcast Network. Hosted by Lee Sterling and Kevin Rogers, they're dropping fearless picks with an inside edge to put money in your pocket. If there's action, they've got the lock. This is where smart bets start. It's Locked On Bets.
Welcome to the Monday edition of Locked On Bets. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports with you. We appreciate you making Locked On Bets your first listen of the day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Week 0 in the books. Week 1 of college football beginning this week. And it's not even beginning on Saturday. It's starting on Thursday. You have a full buffet Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday with the college football. And great news here on Locked On Bets, Lee. You can tell them all about it. Every single day this week, we will have a college football lock.
That's right. They don't want to miss out. They don't want to, come back on Thursday or Friday. I'm going to release a college football game, and I'm not talking about just one. I might have 2 some of these days, but at least one college football release every single day this week. So it's finally here. This is what we've all been waiting for. Next week the NFL joins the party, but this week it's college football. Used to be on Thursday nights to start off college football, they'd have 2 or 3 games. There's double-digit games both Thursday and Friday and some big games, and I'm going to hit on one of them.
Yeah, and that's coming up a little bit later on. We have a lot of really good games, like you said, on Thursday, Boise State and USF. Also, Nebraska, Cincinnati, NC State, East Carolina is the game that Lee's going to talk about coming up in just a little bit. Also, we have a recap, too, of what unfolded over the weekend. So a lot to get to and some Major League Baseball picks. And we will begin with a hidden gem.
To find a diamond in the rough, you need to dig a little deeper for those hidden gems.
All right, so today's hidden gem, Lee, the Minnesota Twins, who we have talked about a lot on the show, they've struggled, but they go to Toronto to face the Blue Jays tonight, and I'm going to go with the Minnesota Twins in the first 5 innings tonight as a slight underdog against the Blue Jays. Joe Ryan gets the ball for Minnesota, and he's been basically the only decent arm that they have left in that rotation. I know they've made a lot of moves, and the Twins got blown out by the White Sox yesterday. But I think they play better tonight. So far, Joe Ryan on the road this year, 2.44 ERA. He defeated Toronto earlier this season at home. Max Scherzer, not the Max Scherzer of old, 4-6-1 in the first 5 innings so far this season. Toronto back from a 6-game road swing. They finished off in Miami with a loss to the Marlins on Sunday. I just think here this line a bit short with Toronto being as good as they are, kind of questionable. So let's take Minnesota in the first 5 innings against Toronto as our first hidden gem, Lee.
All right. If you had said for the full game, I would say you lost your mind because their bullpen is horrendous. But first 5 innings, their best pitcher, I think they might be able to catch the Blue Jays. So all we need to do is be leading first 5 innings. We can turn the game off.
And we'll see if Joe Ryan can pick up that win tonight on the road. And that begins our plays today. Let's look back at what unfolded, Lee, over the weekend. Very long weekend, a lot of plays to recap. First off, we're going to start with the UFC. UFC, you had a winner there in China, late night on, actually early morning, if you want to call it that, on Saturday. But still, if you got up early to watch it, you cashed a winner.
Yeah, I mean, started at 3 a.m. Eastern time. So, sometimes the early bird gets the worm, and we had a winning card for our clients, went 2-1, didn't put out, 5 or 7 selections. So just went with the one easiest winner we thought and took care of business. And that's what we're looking for, is just to win. And UFC has been very profitable for us.
So that was a winner. Baseball, we hit both of the games on Friday. Lee had the Red Sox as they knocked off the Yankees. Boston took 3 of 4 in the series, but still very big underdog, though, on Friday night with the Red Sox shutting out the Yankees.
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's laying big odds, in the games over the weekend with the Yankees right now is probably living under a bridge. I know they won the 4th game, but first 3, Boston came to play, and, it ended up closing at plus 179 on a couple sites. So, Boston was a live dog. I told everyone they were going to be sky high for the series, and they got the job done, and that's what we're looking for. You cash a 165, 175 underdog, it's like winning almost 2 games. So we're not just going to give you big favorites like a lot of these handicappers and these podcasts are going to do, laying like 300-400. Give you Cy Young on the mound against a terrible team. So you got to pick and use your spots here. I think Boone should be done. They're not going to fire him right now, but I mean, you talk about a listless team. The New York Yankees, they look like they're just literally, walking down the stretch. So there's something seriously wrong with that team, and maybe it's time for the GM and the manager to go.
And big series for the Red Sox, definitely. And they're moving up there in the wild card race. And we hit on the Diamondbacks first 5. We had just the first 5 on Friday night. So that was a winner against Cincinnati. They still led the game, or led after 5 innings. So we got that as a winner. Now, as far as college football goes, Lee, a bit of a rough start, 1-3. The winner, though, Western Kentucky over Sam Houston State. Sam Houston State actually took the lead right in the third quarter, and then Western Kentucky ran away and eventually covered that one. But Western Kentucky, though, will take that as a win.
Yeah, and their offense. I knew this kid, Maverick McIver, actually knew his father, played at the University of Texas, had one of the strongest arms, could throw the football 75 to 80 yards. So he transferred from Abilene Christian. That's why it pays off, do your homework and know what's going on, and knew a lot about him. They had some really bad calls in the first half. One, I think, a non-pass interference call, and then also a non-pass interference call, I believe, to start the third quarter. If not, they might have scored 50, put up a 50 spot on Sam Houston State. So, they also had a fumble return against them for a touchdown. So that was, one of those reversals that can hurt you a lot. A lot of times we talk about pick sixes when you're driving. When that happens, you usually lose. But they were able to overcome that fumble return for a touchdown and still cover by a touchdown. So we liked that game a lot. And actually, that was for our clients. If you're a client of ours, that was the only college football game we released.
And as far as the other 3 games we had on here, the game in Dublin, Kansas State ended up losing to Iowa State. And that was a game, weather wasn't great. It's not an excuse, but the weather wasn't great. And K-State can never really get the offense going in that game.
Yeah, I give credit to Iowa State. They got stronger in the second half. They ran the football. You run the football, it's going to open up a lot of things when you control the line of scrimmage. So I was impressed with Iowa State's line, which had not been great, but there have been some questions about them. So they get the job done. And Kansas State, the quarterback's father and son I saw were fighting, and they may have taken a couple key injuries as a team. So got to think twice about going overseas to play some of these games. Now Kansas State's behind the 8 ball. Still, I think, a really good team. And they're going to be a team, don't forget about them. They are better as an underdog. So we'll look to probably back them as the season progresses, and still a good coaching staff. That was a toss-up. Just things didn't go our way. There were some fumbles. I think there was 4 turnovers or 3 in the first half that definitely, swung that game one way. But took the loss. We were there. We were competitive. Kansas State will be back.
Yeah, and Kansas State's best friends, the Kansas Jayhawks, they ended up winning big against Fresno State. And look, Jalen Daniels played really well. He only had a few incompletions in the game. And on the Fresno side, Kurt Warner's son, E.J. Warner, wasn't great. And his third school, he's been with Rice, and he's been at Temple. And Kansas, they returned to their old stadium that they renovated, and they played very well.
They did, and Fresno State looked terrible. Their offensive line, Fresno State, that's what I was watching for. I'm looking for keys going forward. If they fall behind in games, they're going to have trouble. So the offensive line looked porous. E.J. Warner didn't play great, but it's tough playing well when your offensive line, there's guys literally coming in and coming after you unblocked. So not all his fault. If they play teams, at their level, I think they'll be fine. But against the better teams that have, better athletes, they're going to have trouble.
And finally, Stanford, the ACC's favorite son. They end up losing to Hawaii, and Andrew Luck can't even save Stanford right now. And, the Cardinal, they go out there and they suffer a loss.
Yep, lost by half a point, whichever way you want to look at that game. They were there. They were leading large portions of the game, just couldn't come up with that one play. give the Hawaii quarterback credit. He was literally limping around, playing almost on one leg the last couple drives. So that happens sometimes, especially Hawaii, where they're obviously better at home. Stanford, up 10-0. They just, I don't know why they were running the ball so much. Would not try to push the ball down the field at all. So I thought Frank Reich's play calling when they were up 10-0 wasn't great. You can't be conservative there. You want to put away a live home team like Hawaii where the fans get into it. But close again, but no cigar, but still a winning week. Our sixth winning week out of 8 weeks, and one of those weeks we were right at 500. So you go 6-1-1 out of your first 8 weeks, you're feeling pretty good about yourself.
Yeah, and look, week 0 is in the books, and now we look ahead to week 1. We have a selection every single day here on the show. East Carolina, North Carolina State. That's coming up in just a little bit, so looking forward to that. A couple more baseball plays we will get to as well as we continue right here on a Monday edition of Locked On Bets. FanDuel, that's right. Guess what's coming up on August 26th? That is tomorrow. And you know what it is? Yep, that's right. FanDuel Futures Day. It's a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. And the best news about that is you have 24 hours where FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. And you have a lot of great choices for MVP of the league. Lamar Jackson of the Ravens. He right now is the favorite at plus 430. Also, Joe Burrow of the Bengals. Josh Allen of the Bills, each at 6-1. Patrick Mahomes of the Chiefs at plus 650. So a lot of great players you could choose from. And who knows who can come out of there and win the MVP. Also, when you look at Super Bowl winners, you know the names that are up there. You know it's the Eagles that'll be up there. You know the Chiefs will be up there. Even the Ravens will be up there. But do you want to maybe take someone that's, I don't want to call it a long shot, but maybe do the Lions break through this year at 11-1? Can the Commanders bounce back after losing the NFC Championship last year at 20-1? The Broncos have been talked about at 22-1. So a lot of great choices there, and you could find it all at FanDuel. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only, August 26th. FanDuel, play your game. We continue here, Locked On Bets, and we've talked plenty of, at least reviewed a lot of college football, but let's get to some more of the baseball. A big game inside interleague tonight, the Mariners and the Padres, and you know what? It's time to bet a little, win a lot.
They say you'll miss 100% of the shots you don't take, so bet a little, win a lot.
Mariners Padres tonight, big one. And look, Lee, the Padres off a huge series against the Dodgers this past weekend. They're going back and forth atop the NL West. And then you look at the Mariners, who have had their struggles. They came off a big win over the A's. So, Lee, what do you like with the Mariners and Padres?
All right. So, we were riding Seattle for a while. And I told you, probably going to have some tough times. I look at 10-game segments. And well, let's stretch it a little bit further. The last 11 games, Seattle 3-8. They have struggled. Come up with key hits. The relievers just not doing the job here. But they're back home. And like you mentioned, San Diego coming off that Dodgers series. And that to them, San Diego is their biggest series every single time they play them. So don't underestimate that. Seattle is now 2 back of Houston. And Cal Raleigh broke the record, home runs by a catcher. He's now up to 49 after hitting 2 dingers yesterday, and he absolutely crushed them. So he is now finally in form, and I think he's going to carry him. And I also like the guy that sets up the table for them, Randy Rosarena. Leadoff batter, 24 home runs, 61 RBIs, and get this, 24 stolen bases with only 3 times he's been caught stealing. Sometimes you'll see a leadoff guy or a guy that steals a lot of bases, with 20 to 30 stolen bases, and you'll see him caught 8, 10, 12, 15 times. Well, you're taking your guys out of rally. So he's very smart, picks his spots, doesn't just run to run. And, if he gets on base via walk or a hit, he knows he has some guys behind him, so he's going to wait for the right moment. And, when they score first, they're really good. And they're going to be facing a Padres starter, J.P. Sears, who in 122 innings this year has given up 25 home runs. He did pitch well in his last game against San Francisco. But before that, and San Francisco usually has not done well against pitchers like that. But before that, he was sent down to the minors for a reason. He was not getting the job done. So I think he's the worst starter that San Diego has. A lot of people, they only lay 1.5 runs when you have a favorite. But sometimes when a team is rolling, you can bet this and you can make hay here. Lay the 1.5 runs and take the plus money here. So I'm not going to, when they're a big favorite, laying, 250, lay the 1.5 runs and still laying money. I'm going to lay the 1.5 runs with the Seattle Mariners, -1.5, plus 165. I think they're going to win by 2 or more runs. So I'm going to bet a little, win a whole lot on the Seattle Mariners as they start coming alive and making their stretch to take over the division lead 2 back of Houston.
And the other issue, too, Lee, with the Mariners was they went out east. They went to Baltimore, went to Philadelphia, really struggled, and they had that long winning streak at home. So now back at home, took 2 of 3 from the A's this past weekend and lost one of those games by a run in extra innings. So Seattle's probably getting more comfortable now, and I think they know, too, that they need to find a way to get a home field advantage, at least in one of their series coming up if they want to advance in the playoffs.
I think they're going to have some huge crowds, Kevin, this week. Obviously, University of Washington football starting, but the Seattle Mariners don't start till the following weekend. So, over the week and weekend, I think they're going to have, like I said, a huge following there. Might have a sellout for a few games, and they're definitely starved. Are the Mariner fans? So, I don't really have a favorite team in the American League, but I think they're going to be the team that I'm rooting for to go to the World Series.
So we stay out west. We go from Seattle to Sacramento and our blowout special.
Oh, boy. Last one out. Turn off the lights. This one's a blowout.
The Tigers and Athletics meet in Sacramento tonight, and Riley Greene of the Tigers looks to take advantage of that, I don't want to call it a bandbox, but that minor league park out west. And Lee, what do you like with Riley Greene tonight in his prop?
Whoever thought that we'd be playing a Major League Baseball season with 2 minor league stadiums, but this is one of them here, and I think Riley Greene's going to take advantage of it here. He has absolutely crushed right-handing pitching this year with a 288 average. Now, you're saying 288 sounds pretty good. I think as of yesterday, there was only 6 or 7 guys that had above a 300 average. So the game has changed. Guys aren't trying to bunt for hits here. They're trying to go for power, doubles, home runs. 288 is actually a very good average here. And he also has 28 home runs against right-handed pitching. Now he's going to face a subpar pitcher in JT Ginn. And that's also part of the reason why I'm playing this game in a small stadium. It's a bandbox here. Ginn, 10 starts, 60 innings pitched, has given up 13 home runs. And I watched a lot of their games. They're on late, so got 3 TVs, and there's a lot of balls that are hitting the wall that come very close to going out against him. So we got a pitcher who's hot here, Riley Greene, facing right-handed pitcher who's not good at all and probably shouldn't be in the majors. And we're going to take advantage of it. Let's get that double or home run right off the bat, or if not, I think he'll get it in the later innings. Riley Greene here for the Detroit Tigers here, over 1.5 bases, -125, blowout special.
Yeah, and JT Ginn, he's been terrible at home so far this season, even though he is the top Ginn that's still left in professional sports after Ted was in football for about 20 years, it felt like. But at least now JT Ginn, we'll see if Riley Greene can take advantage of that and get a few hits tonight.
Yeah, he might be drinking a gin and tonic
Hmm.
later in the night if he gets hit like I think he should.
Yeah, we'll see if Riley Greene can continue that coming up tonight. We do have a college football play. It's Monday, but we're looking ahead already to Thursday's action. East Carolina, NC State to kick off the season in Raleigh. That is straight ahead. You're listening to Locked On Bets. Locked On Bets continues here on a Monday. Kevin Rogers and Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports and college football week 1. A lot of action coming up this week. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's probably the best weekend of the year because you have 5 days of football. And you have Miami, Notre Dame on Sunday. You have big games on Saturday, Ohio State, Texas. Among them, LSU, Clemson, Florida State, Alabama. But we first got to start with Thursday because that's when the action begins. East Carolina, NC State. Lee, it's time for the lock of the day.
Open it, open it, open it. Lee has the key to the lock of the day.
Wolfpack and the Pirates, they meet up in Raleigh coming up on Thursday. NC State a double-digit favorite. Lee, what do you like in this one?
All right, so revenge of the Military Bowl. Yep, that's right. They played a little over 8 months ago, and in that game, East Carolina won 26-21. Very rarely do you see a team face off in a bowl game and start off the season first game. I can't remember the last time. It's probably been a while here, but it's probably been a couple cases here. So in that game, East Carolina was on a roll. They had won, I think, 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 6 to end the season, fired their head coach, and they were just letting it all go, throwing the football here. North Carolina State was ravaged because of injuries at that point in the year. And let's be honest, these kids for East Carolina, if they were offered NC State or North Carolina schools like that, they would accept probably 9 out of 10 times. So that was their Super Bowl. What has changed since that time? Well, Dave Doran, after rough seasons, always seems to come back and have a big year. And I think he is game plan for this game. He's added a couple studs on the offensive line from Purdue and Utah State, added a linebacker from Utah State. And these are guys that have played and started and who I graded out were high NIL transfer guys. Maybe not, high profile, didn't come from programs like Notre Dame or Michigan or Miami, but I think that are good, solid players are going to help them out. So also got a DB from Charleston Southern that's going to be a player. They changed offensive and defensive coordinators. So East Carolina, in my opinion, not going to be able to really be able to game plan. I think they're going to have to be vanilla, not know what's going to come at them. And I like that standpoint here, and two respected guys who I think are going to do a good job. I also like the fact key positions, they now have experience. Their quarterback, CJ Bailey from Miami, from Chaminade. How good was he? And in high school, played for Chaminade, started as a freshman. Guys like 6'5", 6'6". He was about 140 pounds when he first started in high school. But this guy gets it. He has really come into his own. Their running back, Hollywood Smothers, love the name, Hollywood Smothers. About 600 rushing yards last year. These are two true sophomores. So I think they're going to go to the next level. They were a little under the radar, but I think by the time this year and the dust is settled, they're going to be guys that a lot of people are going to be talking about. And East Carolina only returned 6 starters from last year. So they finished well. A lot of times people, talk up those teams that finish well and they start betting on them early in the season. Well, every year is different. I think this is a big revenge game here for NC State. They're playing at home here, and I think East Carolina is going to get off to a tough start here. This is not the same team as we saw at the end of the season last year. We're going to go with a level 3 lock. That's right, all the way up to start the week. NC State minus 11.5. Bet it now. Don't be surprised if this game closes 12.5 or 13.
Yeah, and NC State, we'll see if they can come out with a good performance here against East Carolina. And it's our first of 5, Lee, college football plays this week on the show. And, Lee, what do you have going on at Paramount Sports with a very busy college football week ahead?
Well, it's football. Football is our main focus here. UFC, no UFC this weekend. So we'll definitely going to be straight and narrow on the football, studying all week. And like I said, you want to be with us. We've had 30 out of 31 winning years in football. Our only selection for our clients, one big on that. So you want to join us. How about this? 6 weeks, normally $597 from now all the way through the end of September. September 29th, Monday, September 29th, 6 weeks of action. You're going to generally get 8 to 12, 8 to 13 games each and every week, college football and the NFL. Normally $597. That use that coupon code SAVE100, SAVE100, just $497. Or for the season, $1997. And we also do player props. So if you like betting the player props in college football and the NFL, normally we were going to put this out for $997. First year we've offered it. Just how about get this, $597 for player props the entire season from this weekend through the Super Bowl. Just one place, ParamountSports.com, or call 800-400-9741.
And don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Locked On Bets. The audience grows day by day. And also you can find our podcast, too, on your favorite audio platform. For Lee Sterling, I am Kevin Rogers. We'll be back with you coming up on Tuesday for another edition of Locked On Bets right here on the Locked On Podcast Network.